spirits. It's a beautiful day outside. Well, at least here in Philly it is. It is about 85 degrees, all sunny. It's really a nice day outside, a nice day to do self-care. So hopefully where you're at, the weather permits for you to get out and do some self-care. And if not, I strongly encourage you to do something for yourself this evening before we go into this new week. Whether that is, taking a nice bath, going for a walk, maybe starting a garden, watering your plants, giving yourself a foot massage, something. Just do something good for yourself. But anyway, welcome to my day ones. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And to any new viewers, welcome. Welcome to what I like to call Hope's Healing Circle. For those who are new to my channel, I am a cognitive behavior therapist born and raised in Philadelphia. I am actually a therapist. I work as a therapist at a women's domestic violence shelter, and I also have my own practice, which I've had since 2011. So with that being said, I wanted to come on here today, guys, to talk a little bit about grief. Um, for my day one that we are I am soon approaching my father's birthday in a couple weeks. And my father, for those who don't know, my father passed away unexpected. I woke up, I got good sleep, I felt good. And then out of nowhere, guys, like it was just like my whole energy just shifted. Like I just felt like this insurmountable heaviness. I started to feel very sad, even to the point where I cried. And I'm just like, yo, like what's happening here? And when I start to feel out of balance in that way, what I normally do is I disconnect from the world to reset and recalibrate. So I put my phone on do not disturb. If I'm watching something on TV, I turn the television off. I sit in complete silence so that I can connect and I can get back to the core and center of myself. And not even 5 minutes into just sitting in silence, it came to me, you're grieving because your father's birthday is approaching. And, for many years, I heard the statement, especially when people died, or passed away, I will always hear that statement, it'll get better. And both personally and professionally, I loathe that statement because it's not true. Um, what I know both personally and professionally about grief is that it doesn't get easier. It gets more manageable, but I don't think grief ever gets easier. And maybe for some it does. Maybe for some it does. I can't speak for everybody, but I just think that that's a very misleading statement because I think it gives the illusion that one day, these feelings of sadness, grief, overwhelmingness will just dissipate. And that's not always true. And that's not everybody's story. So you got to be careful when you say things like that. Um, so I'm saying all this to say, like, I'm posting this live. I went live today because I wanted to reach out and just connect with you guys, just to, talk about how I'm managing my own grief right now, dealing with, the death of my father and his birthday soon approaching. And a lot of the times we often associate grief with just physical death. But a loss is a loss, and any type of losses cause grief. So there could be grief due to the loss of a loved one that is incarcerated. There could be grief due to the loss of a job. You could have been at a job 20, 30 years and recently gotten laid off, or, they just totally phased out your position wherever you are, and now you're trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do? You can have grief due to loss of a relationship or a marriage. Um, you can have grief and loss due to loss of finances. Like, what I'm trying to say is, it's hard, nobody knows. It's hard, nobody knows those emotions. Um, my Wi-Fi got disconnected. But back to what I was saying about grief and loss and allowing yourself to acknowledge those feelings and sit with them. I know that that is difficult because no one wants to feel none of us want to sit in anything that feels uncomfortable, but what I can tell you both professionally and personally, it's necessary. You have to allow yourself to experience emotions that are not always pleasant. It helps you grow. It helps you be able to process things as well as manage, which is what I'm going through now. And it also serves to, build you in those areas that you may require some work. So, grief looks different for everybody. I was actually online yesterday and there was I forgot the name of the podcast, but they interviewed Candy Burris. And for those who don't know Candy Burris, who may be watching this live, Candy Burris is an R&B singer who is from the legendary group Escape, who was married to her husband, I believe, Todd Tucker, for like 12 years, and they are now divorced. And this was the first time that I actually saw, like, I've seen other interviews with her talking about her divorce with Todd, but this was the first time I actually saw Candy cry. And while my heart ached for her because I too am divorced, I also was happy to see her do that because it appeared as if, like, when Candy was going through this situation with Todd, she was just trying to keep herself busy. And Candy, not to make this like a horoscope or what is that called? Oh God, guys, I'm blanking out. But your zodiac, horoscope or zodiac thing. I'm a Taurus, just like Candy. My birthday was May 3rd. We Tauruses have a tendency that when we are uncomfortable, especially in the matters of the heart, we will drown ourselves in other things, in particularly work, so that we don't have to feel. I did that for many years, and it did me no justice. Literally in 2000 and I think it was 10, I believe. Literally holding in all of my emotions, it literally led me into the hospital. They called it exhaustion, but that was the politically correct word for it. But I'm gonna call a spade because that's who I am. I had a nervous breakdown. And it was at that very moment, once I got into the hospital and, I got myself situated, I said, you know what, I'm going to allow myself to be here and go through what I need to go through, but I will never be here again. And one of the ways that I acknowledge that I would not be there again is by not allowing myself to make excuses or to get caught up in preoccupying myself when I feel uncomfortable, because I'm thinking like, okay, if I just keep myself busy, it'll go away. No, it didn't go away. It was just suppressed for that moment. And then as a result, life is still lifing. So it was just like all this other stuff just started piling up. And then it led to that. So I said, never again. And by the grace of God, it never happened again. So I just want to send some number one words of encouragement to anyone who is experiencing grief to any type of loss, even if it, and I forgot to even say this, even grief due to loss of a pet. Like these are things that, we probably don't like, we don't think about, but like grief due to loss of a pet that is like a family member, that is hard for people, and it's not something that should be laughed at. It's not something that should be mocked. It's not something that should be, not spoken about. So I just wanted to two things. I want to send comfort to anyone right now who is experiencing grief due to loss, whether that be mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, personally. My heart goes out to you and is with you. And I want to also I want to give you words of encouragement. Um, like I said, that saying that this too shall pass, no, but it will become more manageable as time goes on. It will become more manageable. If you're feeling overwhelmed with grief and you don't feel like there's nobody in your inner circle that you can talk to, I highly encourage you to seek a therapist. And I'm not saying me. Um, and I know that that sounds, a lot of, especially particularly in the African American community, we are one of the first ones to shut therapy down because there's been so many stigmas around therapy. I mean, we have come a long way. Things have gotten better, but we still have a long way to go. I really encourage you to, if you don't have anybody that you can talk to in your immediate circle that you trust, I really encourage you to seek professional therapy because it's a lot trying to navigate these type of situations, in particular grief by ourselves. So I'm sending comfort and encouragement. I'm loving on y'all. Have a great Sunday. Again, do something nice for yourself, self care of some sort before we go into this new week, this new work week, or just this new week period. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.